So let's talk about the syntax of calling a function, and what does that even mean, the syntax? So here, I'll start with saying, hey, what is the syntax of a regular old static method call like math.pow in Java? I'll put this in a comment in this racket file here, so a little good to know. Comments in racket are semicolon to the end of the line, so I can go ahead and say syntax for a static method call in Java. And first I'm just going to give examples because the syntax is going to be the general case, the general grammar, the grammar rule for writing a method call. And I always like that grounded in specific examples, concrete examples. So math.pow of 2, comma 10. And what else do we have? I think I have some other examples. You get the idea here. And I'll point out, by the way, well, I'll leave it like this. So syntax. What is the syntax? I claim it's going to be an identifier, the name of the function, followed by an open paren, followed by, gosh, how do I say this best? I'm going to say args for now. Pretty simple. Maybe say args ... And here's why I just sort of pause about this, because it's not really the arguments to say comma-separated args. And I'll put this with a capital letter here. Okay. And if I was on the blackboard, there'd be something very important going on. These would be in one color of chalk, and the open paren, closed paren would be in a different color of chalk. Okay? Why? I say this is the general syntax. Replace this ID with some particular identifier, like math.pow. Okay? But the open paren, you better type that correct character exactly. You don't type the character I followed by the character D in your Java program. You type some particular ID. But you must type an open paren. If you don't have that literal open paren comma, you are not making a static method call in Java. So, okay. And similarly, comma-separated arguments. I'm going to go ahead and say expressions here. You don't actually type those letters. You actually put in a comma-separated list of arguments. ... is going to indicate a list. We don't have the tools yet. We're going to come back to describing grammars better and saying, hey, comma-separated, what do you really mean by that? If this is supposed to be the grammar rules, aren't we supposed to be precise? Yeah, we'll come back and be more precise. But I'm getting the gist across that this is what we want. So I'm going to leave it like that for now. One thing I'll mention is some people say, oh, it's actually not an ID. You say a class name followed by a dot followed by an identifier. And really a class name is another identifier. So I guess ID.id. Yeah. Two questions. First of all, maybe math.pow, I'm considering that one identifier. I know that it contains two other sub-identifiers, but maybe I'm calling that one identifier. I'd have to give the exact rules of what do I mean by identifier here. And the real thing I'm trying to say is that, actually math.pow, I don't want to get into the whole idea of, qualifying it with a class name, because you can also do an import static with math.pow, and you could then just say in your Java program, you could just say pow of 210, and that would compile. So really all you need is an identifier followed by the open parens. The identifier might include a class name as well. But again, look at all these different issues I'm having to drag in just to teach you a very simple idea. What is the syntax? Syntax for a function call in racket. And we have three examples up there at the top, the exponent, plus, and substring. And it's pretty simple. So the examples are already up there. Syntax is open paren, identifier, and then exprs, plural, a bunch of expressions. So it turns out 2, 5, Mississippi. You might say values. All my examples have been just values, but really can be any expression, and that's just, I'm now done with this idea of saying, hey, here's the syntax. I'm going to go back. We're going to talk a lot more about syntax. I'm just trying to get you familiar right now. And again, I really wish I could have colors in here and say that these open parens I might do in black, and while these things here, which we'll call non-terminals, do in a different color like blue or something like that. Okay. You might just say, hey, well, you do the words in one color and the punctuation in another. Well, no, in Java, you have things like the word class. You have to actually type in the word C-L-A-S-S and nothing else. So that would be in black. Whereas, class puppy, I'd say, oh, that's an example of class followed by an identifier. That sort of thing. So it's not just punctuation versus words. It's, think of it as keywords versus names you come up with. Okay. We can do one more. We're going to put a few more complicated expressions and then call it a day.